again to Unit 4, Session 1 of Family Life Education. Session 1 of Unit 1, we are going to talk about trends in divorce. It is hoped that by the end of this session, you should be able to describe why marriages end and the stages that lead to divorce, explain the methods of ending a marriage. Now, divorce rate has increased. We hear people getting married 2 months, 3 months, they want to end the marriage. You ask yourself, why do marriages end like this? And there are a lot of reasons that people give as to why people go through divorce, through separation, and then other stages that the marriage will have to go through before finally ending in a divorce. So we want to look at why marriages end. Why marriages end. Research has indicated that people give a lot of reasons why they think marriages end. And among the reasons that they give has to do with financial issues, no money, the man is not able to give money, the woman has money more than the man, creating a lot of challenges. So financial issues is one of the things that has been cited as the cause of a divorce. And then sexual, when it comes to sexual issues, it could come from the man, it could come from the woman. And these are some of the things that if it does not go well, people based on that seek for divorce. And then we also have role problems as to what you should do. The man expects that if you look at our society and the culture that we find ourselves, it is assumed that for the woman, it should always be submissive. So when you are even assertive and there is something that you want to challenge, the man is not ready. And sometimes, based on our culture, some women also think that the man would have to provide for everything. And so when there are role problems, who to pay the school fees, who should take care of the kids, and other things comes in, you realize that if there are no interventions, the marriage can end, leading to divorce. Other causes has to do with physical cruelty, how people are being abused physically, even emotional abuse, neglect by husbands, neglect of the children, and then husbands who drink so much. These are some of the things that have been mentioned in the literature as being some of the causes of divorce. Often men have been identified as neglecting home and then sometimes neglecting children and coming out with some sexual problem. But of course, some women also exhibit some of these characteristics. What are some of the predictors? Based on what the literature is saying, we want to look at some of the things that predict that a marriage can lead to divorce. A marriage can lead to divorce. So you look at some of these predictors or some of these factors and you can boldly tell that the probability of that marriage leading to a divorce is very high. And one predictor has to do with age. It is assumed that people who are not matured enough, younger people end up in divorce most of the time. Because they are not mature, they do not understand the institution of marriage. So they enter with a lot of expectations. And if all these expectations are not met, it's likely that that marriage will end. And so people who are not matured, teens and younger adults, end up in divorce more than people who are matured. And then another predictor has to do with low income as a result of probably unemployment and other related financial issues. You see, when there are no money in the marriage, husband is not ready to provide, the woman is also not ready to support, we are saying that low income can also end up in a divorce. A woman with no means of support may be more likely to stay in a difficult marriage, but then sometimes some of the men think that they don't have what it takes to be so responsible. So why do I even have to keep this marriage? I have to end it. And there are other times that women think that the man is not providing enough because they don't have much due to unemployment, and it can also lead to divorce. And then the kind of partner that you choose, the choice of partner that we also make, can also predict the divorce rates, whether that marriage is going to last or it will lead to divorce. Some people are arguing that normally when parents make choices for their children, it's likely that those marriages can be sustained, because parents will have to go through a lot in order to make these recommendations. But then others also the other way around. Some also say that if parents make recommendation where there is no love initially in the marriage, it can also lead to a divorce. So it depends on the choice of partner. And several other predictors that we can also mention, that people that have been able to study each other for a long time, they have been friends and they know some of the likes and then dislikes of their partners, it is assumed that those marriages can last. But those that just come know each other within 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, they want to get married, the probability that that marriage can lead to divorce is also very high. Let us look at pulling apart in stages. Pulling apart in stages. We are saying that before any marriage leads to divorce, it goes through a lot of stages before the final stage. That is what we mean by pulling apart in stages. So we want to look at some of these stages that it has to go through. And our book or model has identified 3 of such stages, that before we end the marriage, before divorce occurs, the marriage would have to go through 3 stages. And the first stage has to do with isolation. Here there is separation from each other. Both partners are separated. They could be in the same house, but they are separated. They no longer come together, think about issues. The intimacy they used to share is no longer there. And sometimes too, people might even live in different places. They are all part of the isolation. So you can be in the same house where you don't talk to each other, and there is this element of what? Isolation. So there is withdrawal. People are not so committed to each other. They go their own individual ways, do whatever pleases them. They don't think about the other partner. We say when it happens like that, it is in the stage of isolation. And if we have counselors, we have people around who are in the know, they can help to resolve it. And then the second stage has to do with invalidation. Here, the partners respond negatively to each other. Instead of affirming, couples accuse each other, belittle, they have no regard for the other, they see each other not to be worthy of, they do not consider them in any decisions that they want to take, they see them as no longer being part of them. And that is what the invalidation. And then we have the third stage, which is the betrayal. Here, there are no support from each other. The support that partners used to enjoy from each other no longer happens. So they have betrayed each other. Initially, the trust that they held together is no longer there. And that becomes the betrayal stage. And the critical act in the breakdown of the marriage is the decision to separate and seek a divorce rather than divorce itself. Emotions are the very way and the most painful at the time of separation. So we are saying that at this time it can also end into what? Separation. They live apart from each other. And then after all these stages, then we say the marriage can now break down. Sometimes if we have people that we are able to talk to in any of these stages, whether isolation, invalidation, or betrayal, people can come in, we can talk to our counselors to help us resolve it. Else it can lead to what? The end of the marriage, which has to do with what? With divorce. In divorce too, we have three things that normally happens when we want to end. Divorce actually is the legal way of ending the marriage, and it also goes through certain stages. We have the annulment, we have the legal separation, and then finally we have everybody going his or her way. And so that is that. If we talk about the various stages that we have to go through, when we talk about the annulment, then we are talking about situation whereby there are a lot of faults. People see each other and they think that one partner is at what? Fault. So the people say that maybe the marriage on the first ground started on the wrong note. So if maybe you deceived your partner in getting married, probably you had already married to someone else, that marriage can lead to divorce because of what we call the annulment. So here we are saying that the annulment happens when there was an issue or there is a fault that we can project on the other partner. And then we also have the other one that we call the legal separation. So we are saying that in ending marriage, it goes through three stages: the annulment stage, the legal separation, and finally the divorce. The annulment is whereby the partner says that I want a divorce because the other partner did not tell me the truth. It did not start on good grounds because he lied to me. So it means the marriage started on a false hope. You lie to the other partner, it can end up in divorce. And then we have legal separation. Legal separation, whereby in this case people think that, oh, there is no issue, but I want us to separate. We should end it. I cannot blame you for anything, but the marriage should come to an end. And the final one has to do with the divorce that individual have to go through. Thank you.